What's up, Flick Connection? This is Darren, and today I want to talk to you about how to watch a scary movie in a way that will actually scare you. But definitely leave me a comment and let me know what your scariest movie is. And at the end of 4 weeks, I'm going to give the top comment a prize, and it'll be this deck of cards. I've got a stack of these I'm giving away. I'll put a link in the description. It's all movie themed designs. Each and every card is different. Really, really cool gift for you or somebody else. So try to win that. Let me know what movie scared you the most. Top comment wins the deck. And let's get into how to let a scary movie scare you.
Here, take it.
So Stephen King's It, the remake, just came out, and there's a lot of buzz about it, and there's some mixed reviews from people. There's some people saying that it's really scary. It's the first scary movie they've seen in years, and I would agree with that. But there are a lot of people saying that it's not scary, and both are correct. Now, as an adult, particularly a grown man, it's fairly easy to not get scared by a horror movie. Unless you have some particular anxiety related to the topic of that horror movie, and unless that anxiety is fairly bad, it's pretty easy to just watch a movie and not really get scared by it. Maybe you get scared by a couple of jump scares, but it doesn't really freak you out. Well, that's just a lot to do with the way you're watching it. And it's totally fine. If you enjoy the movies that way, then that's great. But if you're expecting to be scared by a modern horror movie and you're just not, and you want to be, there's some things you can do that'll kind of help get your blood pumping during a movie like this. Now, the first key is to not watch it passively. So whether you're watching it at home or the theater, get rid of any distractions. Especially if you're at a theater, put your phone away. Like, if you're the type of a-hole that texts during a movie, that's kind of rude. Don't do that anymore. It's very rude. You don't realize how rude it is. Don't do it. Do the same at home. It's too easy to take your phone out and sort of get interrupted. Essentially, what happens in a movie like It, and It did a very good job of this in my opinion, is the creators are winding up the tension. It did a very good job of winding the tension very, very tightly, releasing it a little bit, and then winding it tighter. And it made for some really just spine-tingly scenes, and it was pretty relentless too, which is partly why there's so much buzz about it. And it's well made, all of that. This isn't an It review. What I want you to do the next time you watch a scary movie, particularly one that's well reviewed and that people claim to be scary, because there's a lot of junk horror movies out there that are not scary at all, so those are never going to scare you. But if you're watching one that people say is scary, dog. So if you're watching one that people say is scary, don't have any distractions. Turn the lights off. If you're in a dark theater, great. But watch it with somebody too, either alone or with multiple people is what I recommend, or with someone who's more prone to be scared. You need that extra tension in the room. Now, when Paranormal Activity, the first one, came out, there was a lot of buzz about it. And I saw it in the theater twice because I saw it with work friends during, a work day. And there was nobody in the theater. There was just like 8 of us. And previously, I had already seen it in the theater in a crowded theater. Now, when I watched it with the smaller group, it may have been because I had seen it already, but it wasn't particularly scary. Nobody around me got particularly freaked out. Some people laughed. It's easy to laugh at movies like this because sometimes there are some things in them that are pretty ridiculous. But when I saw it with the crowded theater, there was a lot of gasping. There was a lot of tension. I was around strangers that were very nervous. Nobody knows anybody. And everyone was fairly nervous, and you could feel that tension in the room, and that helped that movie be a lot scarier than it actually was. You also have to suspend your disbelief. that's something you're taught in school when you first get introduced into like adult fiction. You have to suspend your disbelief in order to get into the story. So I just recommend eliminate those distractions, watch it in the right environment, and really invest in it. Like let yourself kind of buy into what's happening and get invested in the characters. The creators are typically trying to scare you vicariously through the main characters. Now, it's the creator's fault if they don't do a good job with that. But it's also your fault if they do a good job with that and you don't allow yourself to get invested. If you're trying not to be scared, if you're telling yourself it's just a movie, if you conditioned yourself to do that over the years because these movies scared you when you were a kid, they're not going to scare you now because it's at the end of the day, it's just a movie. So a lot of what I'm saying may seem obvious, but you're probably not doing it currently. And some of you that were maybe not scared by it probably watched it a little too passively, probably looked at it from one step back, whereas you should have sort of leaned into it a little bit more. Had you done that, some of the imagery in that movie might have crawled up your spine a little more than it did. Movies like The Exorcist. The Exorcist is considered really one of the scariest movies ever made. Films like that do a very good job of forcing you to get invested. The creators of every movie are not able to do that. So if you want to enjoy movies like this, you proactively try to get invested a little bit more. Now, from a filmmaking standpoint, it's obviously best when the filmmakers do a good job with this. It makes for a better movie. That's partly why The Exorcist is considered one of the best horror movies of all time. I mean, it's a horror movie nominated for Best Picture of the Year. You know, it is the godfather of horror movies. If no movies ever scare you and you're really wanting to be scared, which most of us are, that's why, horror movies are so popular. We want to be scared. You do have to proactively try to get scared. You can't just sit there with your mouth open, shoving popcorn into your throat, expecting, your mind to just be blown and for terror to just creep into you. Because at the end of the day, it is just a movie. You're just looking at something projected up on a screen. You have to take the step forward. Like I said, you have to lean into it.